eye view. The title picture shows why this hike is called eye view. Looking over the bushveld as far as the eye can see. Hiking was mostly through bush. As happened so often, we lost the path at times. Nice was part of the hike through a riverbed with very little water. I enjoyed this, but it was far too short. Lunch was caught at a small dam with very muddy water. That was because the dam was very new and no vegetation had been able to establish itself yet. The day was hot and I would have loved to have a swim, but not in this water. Because of the high temperature, some of us took a short cut back to home. This was easy because we could see the lodge above us and could just follow the road. Others went a bit further, but then also developed this urge for a shortcut. Had a nice swim in the pool of the camp when we got back. The next morning, some of us took a short hike past some more nearly empty and muddy dams. For me, the highlight of the hike was to find an old DKW F7 in the farmer's scrapyard. For the ignorant, that was a car built in Germany during the 1930s. Wachepiki, a hike to the north of Wormbast. The picture shows us waiting for the sun to go away. It was hot. The Saturday walk was up the mountain, along and down again. Of interest along this trail were deep beds of conglomerate, of smooth, river-washed rocks. The origin of this goes back to 2,700 million years ago. Check the book Earth and Life. Another point of interest was a chapel and a hall built by the previous owner for the marriage of his daughter. It provided an opportunity for me to practice my preaching. The day's hike was cut short to escape the heat and to make use of the pool at the camp. The Sunday hike took us to the running water stream. Deep pools invited for a swim, and a dam actually allowed me to take a jump. Along the route we came past this camp, which had some music blaring, radio jacaranda, but there was nobody in camp. A notice informed us what this was all about, to keep the baboons away. Bisora is a day hike north of Krugersdorp. We did this hike twice this year, and I will combine it here. The first attempt was in March. We had some feminism here. Whilst we, the men, were still studying the map to establish where we should go, the women just used their feminine intuition and marched off. There was no choice, we had to follow. We had not gone far, a kilometer or two, and the path came to an end. Obviously that was the wrong direction. On the way back we found some mushrooms, the Poplar boletti. This is where mushroom fever grabbed some of us. What was to be done with the hiking now? We tried to take a cut across to the hiking path, but got stopped by a swamp. So back to the cars to follow the real path, at least for a while. We found this church, or rather a church hall, which had some strange pictures which I could not interpret, and was wondering what this was all about. Well, the word Bisora is Hebrew and means revelations. Now I can see the picture. The second Bisora hike in October, this time we did it better and tackled the right hike and managed to about 10 kilometers. But still there were times when we were not sure where on the map we were located. But it had a nice aloe forest, and then there was a strange animal or insect. I still haven't figured out what it is.
He's still
It's
kicking
actually
sand.
more or less closed it now.
And now another one.
No, it's digging.
No, he's digging on the edge
No,
and
he
he's
was-
bringing the soil to the back to the center.
Grey Rebuck. To get there was an adventure in itself. From Amersfoort it was dirt road, and on the farm one needs a 4x4. Well, we managed with a 2x4 or 4x2.
You got your picture.
Yes, I'm taking a video.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Gee, this is going down and down.
That your brake pads are in good condition. Is that what you recently serviced, Franz?
What?
Your
The
brake
brakes?
pads?
No.
Accommodation is interesting. Everything is from wood and fairly extensive, as the picture shows. When it came to the hike, we had two groups. The fast hikers doing an 11-kilometer hike and the slow hikers doing 8 kilometers. The 11-kilometer hikers arrived back at camp well before the slowies. But I'm sure we, the slow hikers, had more fun. Interesting things along the route was a river and streams, a waterfall, tree ferns, a coal seam, and a stand of Euphorbia clavaroides. These were found in only one specific spot, possibly 30 by 30 meters. Why? We couldn't figure that one out. On the second day hike, we had a companion dog, a Labrador, a breed that I liked the most. The hike was somewhat difficult because we followed a stream bed full of rocks and boulders. That was to get to the bottom of the waterfall from the day before. Returning to camp, this was the end of an interesting hiking weekend. Frog's Trail. To me, the first picture shows the most impressive aspect of the trail. An ancient riverbed high up on the mountain. The age is around 2,700 million years. The place is near Cullinan, a lovely and interesting place. It is mostly dominated by the conglomerate. We started the hike following a lavada, a water channel as it is called in Madeira. Followed it up to the catchment dam. Following the water course for a while and over the mountain where we found this old riverbed, we got to a point of confusion. But first we enjoyed the view from the viewpoint down into the valley. From here we head to Bundubesh to get down onto the pass we saw below. This took us to the big waterfall. Everything here is conglomerate. On the way out, we actually had to pass through a cave on the way back to the cars. Tirpelkop. There's a huge eucalyptus tree near the accommodation. It took 8 of us to circumnavigate it. It's not the first time we've done this hike, but even the second time around, it was a pleasure. The pass goes up to Tirpelkop, but not to the top. A small detour is required to take an Tirpelkop top. Some of us did this. In total, this first day hike is 12 kilometers, and apart from going up to near Tirpelkop, it also had some interesting features, such as the big wave. That is a section of the hike that went along the rock face of eroded sandstone. We didn't do the second day hike. Nobody felt like doing the 8 kilometers. As an alternative, we just went to the forest in search of some elusive Bushman paintings. They remain elusive. Interesting things we found was a sheep dip, chiseled out of sandstone, and a square bath or swimming pool, or who knows what, also chiseled out. We celebrated Jörg's birthday with a picture cake supplied by Charmaine. Rustach, a day hike in the Magallesberge. It goes up to the top of the berg from the south side. Our aim was what on a map is called a bomb shelter. It's a British fort erected during the Boer War. But it couldn't have been a bomb shelter, because the Boers certainly didn't run around throwing bombs. The fort consists of a wall and nothing more. The view from up there is fantastic, all the way across to Hekpoort and up towards Rustenburg. After the hike, entertainment was eating a huge piece of cake and getting Jenny to play the piano. Tawa Pashwe. This is the weekend when monkeys managed to break into Lydia's cooler box and made a mess whilst we were out. Tawa Pashwe is up there near Potgietersrus. The area is mostly bush. Our walk on Saturday took us up the mountain and to the top of it, can't remember what it was called. Coming down from there, we met the girls at the treehouse camp. They had taken a not so arduous route to get there. Here we stopped to have lunch. A pity that taps weren't running. It is a multi-story building, all wood. Would be interesting to stay there. Hiking was not on the agenda for Sunday. We all piled into France's double cab and took the grand tour, visiting the camps and the camping area. Stopping at one of the dams, we observed some jacana, hopping from leaf to leaf. Accommodation is interesting. It was called glass bungalows. One side of the sleeping quarters was all glass. Just the problem that the room was extremely narrow and one had to step out of doors to get dressed. That was the end of a nice weekend. Bushbuck Hills. It's a hike, somewhere up there near Swartruggens. I wasn't on that hike, but apparently accommodation was luxurious. And the hiking was not bad, apart from the fact that the group got lost and had quite a job to get themselves back to camp. Some of us did some other major hikes. I will not report on this here, since there are 2 YouTube videos up on the net for the Klipspringer hike at Ochrabes and Alexandria Trail near Port Elizabeth.